America will remember this day, unfortunately, where the Senate did not live up to its responsibilities.
An ironic twist in the Senate trial with President Trump. Hear why both sides of the aisle are now calling the process a sham.
And we still do have a few more snow showers this Sunday morning across the region. We'll show you what's in store for the rest of your Sunday coming up.
The best way to control a virus like this is to keep people away from everyone else.
And intensifying restrictions to contain the coronavirus. What new guidelines are put in place amid the global health emergency? It's time to wake up, Mid-Michigan. It's Sunday, February 2nd. Live
and local with coverage you can count on. This is WNEMTV5 Wake
Up. Good morning. Thanks for waking up with us on this Sunday morning. I'm Blake Keller. Ashlyn is off today. We'll have those stories coming up in just a bit. But first, I am joined by meteorologist John Gross in the First Warn 5 Weather Center. Tell us, do we have a busy day? I've been seeing kind of higher than average.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be seeing temperatures well above average actually today, back into the 40s. A little bit of snow last night, continuing to wrap up this morning, but I think we're going to be smooth sailing, especially once we get later on into this afternoon. So that's going to be some good news for the game, and it's also Groundhog's Day today, so we'll see what Punxsutawney Phil has to say within a few hours. Let's go ahead and get over to the First Warn 5 Pinpoint Doppler. We're live from MBS this morning. Another wave of some snow showers moving in overnight last night. The good news is you can continue to see that these are moving off towards the east over towards Lake Huron, back towards Sanilac County, Huron County. We're starting to see the end of some of these snow showers move in across the region. A few more of those lingering in just some of our eastern counties, back towards Iosco County, Alcona County, back towards Harrisville, Ascota, Eau Gray. We'll continue to see these snow showers move off towards the northeast as we go throughout the next few hours. Now, that was associated with the second system that's continuing to move off. And as you can see on the other side of Lake Michigan, we're going to be tapping into some drier air. That's going to help to get rid of some of this cloud cover, especially as we get later on into this afternoon. However, you're also going to notice the winds a little breezy for today. Now, your current temperature is out the door. Some of us still below freezing. So even though we're seeing goodbye to most of the snow shower activity, any moisture out on the roadways still could be slick out there. So just be aware of that if you're going to be stepping out the door early this morning. Winds are a little breezy, not too strong, but still out mainly the south this morning at around 5 to 15 miles per hour. We're going to expect these numbers to really start to ramping up at around 15 to 25 miles per hour, mainly out of the west, especially as we go later on into this afternoon. But for the morning hours, you can mind that air temperature and your wind speed, and most of us have numbers in the 20s this morning. This is what we should be dressing for if you're going to be stepping out the door early this Sunday. Your travel forecast, have you got any plans to go maybe to the big game parties or just some family gatherings? We've got a few more of those snow showers, mainly east of I-75 for this morning. We'll continue to see some clearing and improvement in our skies once temperatures get above freezing later on into this afternoon. We'll talk about some more snow chances for next week coming up here in just a little bit.
It's a public health emergency, just as the 8th case of the deadly coronavirus was confirmed in Massachusetts. A set of new guidelines are in place now to contain it. Nearly 14,000 people worldwide have been infected, and more than 300 have died from the coronavirus so far. As Remy Inocencio reports, nearly 60 million people in China are under travel restrictions.
The CDC says the new case of coronavirus is a Boston resident in his 20s who recently traveled to the center of the outbreak, Wuhan, China. He's been placed in isolation. Also today, tech giant Apple announced it would close all its stores and offices in China until February 9th, joining a growing list of companies restricting operations here. This all comes as the World Health Organization declared a global health emergency, and the U.S. State Department raised its travel advisory for China to the highest level, meaning do not travel to China.
A new study out by the British medical journal The Lancet estimates that more than 75,000 people have been infected by the virus as of last week. If that turns out to be true, it would confirm what many already fear, that Beijing is massively underreporting these numbers.
The CDC reported that even if patients' initial tests for coronavirus are negative, they could still develop the illness because the test only works when patients have symptoms. A study also showed the virus can be transmitted by patients with no symptoms. A woman who traveled from Shanghai to Germany infected 7 other people while she remained asymptomatic. Those findings contributed to the decision to place 195 Americans housed at a California air base in the first federal quarantine in 50 years. They will spend 14 days there.
The best way to control a virus like this is to keep people away from everyone else while you run out the clock on that incubation period.
That approach continues on a massive scale inside China's Hubei province, the epicenter of this outbreak. More than 50 million people are still on lockdown and unable to travel. Ramy Inocencio, CBS News, Beijing.
Well, back here in the U.S., the TSA is sending out a new security directive to airlines in an effort to stop the rapid spread of the coronavirus. Now, starting this week, airlines will be required to ask all passengers booked on flights from outside of the U.S. if they've been to mainland China in the last 14 days. Chinese nationals coming from China and connecting through foreign airports will not be allowed to travel. And U.S. citizens who have been to China in the last 2 weeks will have to be rebooked to 7 gateway airports. Now, that includes JFK, LAX, Seattle, SFO, Chicago, Atlanta, and Honolulu. Well, the search continues for a man involved in a several hours-long standoff with police. Michigan State Police responded to a Coleman home in Midland County Friday afternoon. The suspect is accused of threatening a trooper with a knife before running inside the home. Officers discovered later that night that suspect escaped. At this time, that person's identity is not known. Be sure to stay with TV5 as we continue to follow this developing story. Well, a TV5 scam alert. Tax season can also mean scam season. Now, the Better Business Bureau is getting the word out with Tax Identity Theft Awareness Week. Now, most groan about filing their taxes, but for scammers, it's a chance for them to steal your tax refund. Now, all they need is your social security number. The BBB also says to be aware of IRS imposters. It says if someone calls you and demands money immediately, do not pay it.
A bunch of partisan in the House. It continued in the Senate. It's going to end Wednesday. The president's going to get acquitted. It's going to blow up in their face.
Well, the president's impeachment trial could be nearing an end. On Friday, Republicans successfully defeated Democrats' attempts to call new witnesses and subpoena documents in the Senate trial. As senators return to Capitol Hill for closing arguments tomorrow, there's a new twist. Democrats are now calling the trial a sham.
America will remember this day, unfortunately, where the Senate did not live up to its responsibilities, where the Senate turned away from truth and went along with a sham trial.
Well, the final impeachment vote is scheduled for Wednesday afternoon. And developing this morning, Congressman Dan Kildee announcing what he says is a victory for the Great Lakes. Canadian company Ontario Power Generation was planning on building their permanent nuclear waste site less than a mile from Lake Huron. Kildee says for years he has led the effort to convince the company to seek an alternate location.
The most logical place to store nuclear waste that will be radioactive for 10,000 years is right on the shore of the greatest freshwater source on the planet.
In Kildee's meeting last night, he announced OPG is giving up its plans and will seek another location in Canada. Well, TV5 News Time is 7:08, a life-saving effort for families across mid-Michigan. See players hit the ice to help raise money. And they braved the chilly weather, all in the name of charity. We'll take you to the Polar Plunge, where plungers put the fun in fundraising.